Good afternoon. Welcome to the first installment of Talking with Strangers by David Edwards. I have my friend
Dawson Neely.
Thank you. This is the very first one, so bear with us. We are sitting here in a Dunkin' Donuts, and for each correct answer that he gives about his life, he will get a donut.
Awesome. I like
thank you
that.
very much. So first, tell me, where are you from?
So I'm originally from Ackworth, Georgia. I
Okay.
lived in Ackworth, Georgia until I was 7 years old, and then we moved up to Canton, and I've been in Canton for the last 15 years.
15 years.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you're in your 20s of some sort.
I'll be 22 next week.
22. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So are you in school? You're in college? Tell me about that.
So when I got out of high school, I went straight into work. I wanted to go to college, but graduating during 2020, I wasn't able to finish out my senior year as a varsity athlete on the track team. So because I wasn't able to run enough qualifying meets, I didn't meet the requirements for the scholarship to go to the school that I was looking at.
Man. Okay.
Yeah, so my season got cut short. I wasn't able to get those scholarships. And I'm sure there would have been other options and other avenues that I could have pursued. But at the time, I just decided I could either spend money, try to go to school, or head first into work. I found a good job traveling, doing commercial flooring. So I was traveling for...
Traveling was the correct answer.
Traveling, yes. So I did a traveling job for about 3.5 months where I did commercial flooring, and that was right after high school.
Okay.
So I graduated, had that summer, took 2 months off, and then right into work.
Okay, very interesting. Because it's about me as well. No, track. Tell me about that. What were your events? Because
So-
I loved track too. I loved running, but
My events for track were the 300-meter hurdles and high jump.
okay. Yeah, you're rather tall. So how did that? Okay, so how did that work? Did you always do hurdles, or how did you get into running fast? And then somebody said, "Here's this obstacle for you."
So when I started track, originally I got into it because I had seen the high jump and one of my friends had done it the previous year, and it just looked like something fun. I talked to the coach about it, and he said based on my build, it would probably be something I would be good at. So I originally got into track specifically for high jump,
Okay.
and after being there for 2 or 3 weeks, the sprinting coach came over to me and offered me a position to try out hurdles if it was something I was interested in. I had never even considered it or thought of doing hurdles before, but
Okay.
I ran in practice 2 or 3 times, and I just really enjoyed it. My build was good for it. I've got nice long legs
Okay,
to be able
yes,
to
yes.
clear the hurdles, so it worked out perfectly.
So I did a little bit of track when I was in high school, last century. It seemed to be that between hurdles, if you had a rhythm that worked, right? That you had
Yes.
a certain amount. How many strides were there between?
So it's going to be a little bit different for each person. That was one of the biggest things that we would work on during practice was your strides. But for me personally, it was about 7.5 to 8 strides before I would get to the hurdle.
Okay, I do remember somebody at my school did go down state for that, and I could hear it was interesting because she would run, and then it was da-dum, da-dum, and then jump, and then da-dum, da-dum. So that
Yes,
was
sir.
kind of to be able to do that. Okay, so what were your times then? How competitive was it when you
So
ran?
let's see, my best time for hurdles, for the 300-meter hurdles, I believe was 47.3 seconds.
Okay. So how did that place you when you were in the meets, in the track meets?
The best that I ranked was I got 2nd place in my varsity meet for Cherokee County.
Okay, so a track scholarship was within your grasp.
Yes,
and
sir.
everything.
Yes, sir.
Oh, don't call me sir, David. It's just fine. Sir is for the old people with a K. So what would it take? How do in that navigating that scholarship opportunity? And you look like you've been running all your life. So you need to have more. That scholarship opportunity. How do you apply for that with track? What was the process?
So the process kind of looked like I went to a campus called Reinhardt University in Waleska.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. So I went down there. I talked with their track and field coach. Had a couple conversations with him. We went over, what the requirements would look like and kind of where you would need to be ranking in your high school to be able to go to the college level.
Okay.
So meeting those requirements would have required, I think at the time it was 5 varsity races, and I had run in 3 of those varsity races before the season got cut. So I think there would have been a couple other avenues I could have explored to get on the team and to be able to pursue going to school.
And that was 2020. The COVID bit was. That's what cut it short.
Yes, sir.
So there you were. Your college dreams were dashed because of a.
Yes, sir. My senior year of high
had-
school, we were told that we were going to be out of school for 2 weeks, and 2 weeks later we'd be returning, and we never went back to school again. So we got that notification that school shut for 2 weeks. 2 weeks from now, everybody will return, and we never went back.
Oh my God!
So
because somebody ate some soup in
Yep.
China.
Exactly.
Bad soup. Sorry, that was a joke. Okay, so when did you realize that was going to happen? That your college, what was that like? And if you don't have to answer if you don't want to, but I kind of want to figure out, because it doesn't seem like you're bitter about it, but you had to come to
Right.
that college.
No, so-
I can't go to college now. So,
At the time, it was definitely a weird, difficult thing to navigate because initially, I was told we weren't going to school for 2 weeks. I just thought we're going to be on a break. We're going to be, 2 weeks out of school, and then we're going to go right back, finish up the school year. Everybody's going to graduate.
Right.
But none of that ended up happening. We never got to go back to school. We never ran any more meets. You never saw any of the friends you had classes with again. So it was a really weird thing because it was all of a sudden just like, oh, well, now it's summer and now I'm not in high school anymore. I'm an adult. Where do I go
Right.
from here? So there wasn't that
did you guys meet outside of school because of that, or were you confined? I mean, was it like that for you?
It was pretty confined. There wasn't a
Oh,
whole
you
lot of
couldn't-
meetups. I mean, a couple of my friends and us were able to kind of get together and spend some time together. And our school did put together what they called a graduation parade. So everybody came to the school. We got in trucks, like sat in the bed of a truck or on a trailer, and then we just drove through the parking lot. All the seniors did. So all the seniors got to see each other kind of one last time for a little parade like that. And then at the end of the line, the principal was standing there handing out diplomas. So we kind of did a little makeshift 2020 graduation.
So that must have been disappointing, because there's so many kind of rites of passage for the youth. You graduate, you have your awards banquets, you get a scholarship or something like that. There's a scholarship awards. You
Yes,
know
sir.
you're going to college. You have your banquets and everything like that, and none of that happened.
Yes, sir.
And there was sort of, it seemed like there was sort of an effort, but it was kind of weak, to give you that. Did your parents do anything like that, or did you guys kind of try yourself? Hey, look, we're all going to meet and say goodbye to each other. Okay.
So my parents were really encouraging me to go to school if it was what I truly wanted to do. But as soon as I kind of found out that, I'm no longer in high school, I'm not going back to school, I can start working if I want. I got a job opportunity from somebody. He came and did the flooring at my parents' house about 3 or 4 months before I graduated high school.
Okay.
And he told me, if you're serious about wanting a job after high school, I've got a position, I can take you on. It's commercial flooring, it's traveling. So that was kind of already in the back of my mind before COVID had fully come into play.
Oh, okay, all right.
So I'd kind of already been kind of considering that option of, maybe I wouldn't go to school, maybe I would go to work. And then after COVID happened, it just kind of seemed like everything was falling into place, and that was supposed to be my
So
path.
life happened, and your opportunities were cut short. But so what did you want to do in college? What were you looking to do in college?
In college, I wanted to go into sports medicine.
Oh, okay. Yeah, with track, that would have been obviously an obvious choice. Oh man, okay. So with the flooring, do you still do that now?
No, sir. I'm no longer doing commercial
What do you
flooring.
do now?
Right now, I'm working for a company that builds filtration systems for wastewater treatment plants.
Oh, okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. So in the back of your mind, are you taking any classes to do anything like that, or do you feel like you're employable now and you just want to kind of consider just working and earning money rather than spending?
Right now, my main goals are, I've got a really good career. I've got a good 8 to 5. It pays my bills. I enjoy what I do. I like the people that I work with. And it allows me the freedom to be able to explore creative options like comedy or writing and things like that after work. So what I would like to do is pursue comedy, continue joke writing, continue taking classes on creative writing, and just work my day job so that I have a stable, steady job to cover my bills, but I can also have the freedom to be able to do the creative things I'd like to do.
Okay, good. That brings us to a topic. I do want to start off by saying that my goal with this adventure is to talk to strangers, meet the ordinary person, people that I don't know, and get to know them better. I do know you from the comedy class.
Yes, sir.
Since you brought up the comedy, let's talk about that funny-looking mustache of yours. How did you come by that, and how do you do that? Because I did, in once in my life, there's a gentleman that my mom was friends with his wife, and he had the same thing, and I only saw him once do the grooming of his mustaches, but I never saw it when it was, out of the shower.
It was all
so what do
fully done up.
you do to help make it look like you're a Monty?
So, let's see. I started about a year ago. I started growing out my mustache. I've been growing it for a year now.
Okay.
That's how long it's taken me to get it to this point. And ever since I was a little kid, I just remember, I guess it would have been an old Western. Maybe Tombstone is probably the first movie that I would have seen, kind of a handlebar mustache like that.
Right.
And Tombstone was my dad's favorite movie as a kid. So I just remember always looking up to these Western guys, these cowboys, and just, those were my role models as a kid. Those were the guys that I looked up to. So something about the mustache I just always really loved. And then about 7th or 8th grade, I started really getting into more art and really just diving into things like that. And that's when I found out about Dali. And so Dali.
Oh, yeah, Salvador Dali.
Salvador
Yeah,
Dali. He had
exactly.
the same mustache, and kind of researching into that and his thoughts on it. He kind of talked about how to him his mustache was an extension of his personality, and it was kind
Yes,
of
right, yeah.
it added to him. It was kind of part of who he was. So I've just always thought that it was a really unique, cool style, and I don't see it very often. I've always wanted
Right.
to just
It is an older looking.
yeah, I want to be a little bit more different, a little bit unique, and I also know that a lot of guys just can't get their mustache to curl like that. So when I first started growing it out, I wasn't sure if it was even going to work, if I would be able to do it.
Okay.
So after about 2 months of growing it out, I realized I could start to curl it up, and it started to, really hold its shape and look good. So I
So
decided.
you have an oil? Is there an oil or a wax
I
that
can show you. I've got.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
See, I've got this right here. It's a Stronghold mustache wax,
Okay. Let's see.
and that one is a bourbon vanilla scented one.
Oh wow! So you can smell your mustache.
They've
Okay.
got all different scents. They have like a
So
vanilla cigar
you have to
blend.
apply it all day or throughout the day or what?
So what I'll normally do is take some of this wax right here, get it on my thumb, just warm it up between your fingers, run it through the mustache, take a hair dryer and run a hair dryer over it to just kind of evenly spread the wax through it, comb
Okay.
it out, and then just take your fingers and
So
curl it up.
is it a common question little kids ask, or do people bring it up? I mean, obviously it's a distinctive look for you.
Yes, sir.
How has that worked in your job?
So-
Do people call you Stash or something like that? Is that your nickname?
I do get a lot of Wyatt Earps, Doc Holidays. Yeah.
So it's complete.
It is.
They
it
get
is.
the message. Okay.
I like to tell people that I'm the villain from every silent film.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yep.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, it's just very unique look. And after, I want to say a month after I started really committing to and doing the mustache, I made a promise to myself that I wasn't going to cut my mustache if at least one person every week gave me some kind of compliment or asked me about it.
Wow.
That was a promise I shouldn't have made to myself, because probably 2 or 3 times a day somebody
Somebody's
says
gonna
something
say
about
something.
it. So I don't know that this mustache will ever be going anywhere.
Okay, that's good.
As long as I keep that promise to myself, I don't think the mustache is going anywhere.
So you got to be careful with, especially on a day like today where there are probably a lot of bets and wagers. 'Cause there was one guy in college that he didn't have a handlebar mustache or anything like that. He just made a bet that if he lost, he would shave half his mustache.
Oh no.
And so, and you can do things like that in college because you're not having to impress anybody, and you will withstand the ridicule of the students and sometimes the professors. But he did end up shaving half his mustache one time. It was quite a
half his
distinct.
mustache
Exactly,
going.
it was great. Okay, so comedy then. How does it work with comedy? Because it gives you a distinctive look. How
It
does
does.
that work? Do you use it in your routine at all? Is there a joke? I mean, I know the villain and silent villain thing. What do you do?
Yeah, I've got a couple of different jokes that I try to write about it. I'm still working on some material with it. It's a little bit like,
Okay.
I don't want to be too gimmicky with it, I guess.
Yeah, okay.
I kind of, it is a unique thing and it's a unique part of my look, but let's think.
What is the oddest thing somebody has said about your mustache? Does it come from a little kid or something like
The
that?
oddest thing.
Um,
The oddest thing I would say is I get a lot of men probably in their like 70s that will see me, and the first thing they say is, "Oh my goodness, that reminds me of my captain from Vietnam."
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
A lot of older men will be like, "Man, I haven't seen one of those since Vietnam."
Wow, it's kind of weird. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's very
Fun.
interesting.
Okay. All right. So at work, do they say anything to you about it, or is there a dress code that kind of?
Luckily with my job, no, I don't haven't had
Okay.
any issues with it. No, I mean,
Okay.
I have my boss has a super long beard, probably about halfway down his
Okay,
chest about
right,
here.
yeah.
So he's got some pretty good facial hair, so he really likes it as
It
well.
does seem to me that facial hair on men is a big thing, and beards and all that stuff, and the grooming of that is really popular. All the products
Yes,
for men
sir.
to get the so it looks kempt and things like that. It's kind of
Exactly.
a good market to work into. Okay, so comedy, how is that working for you? I'm not going to make you tell me a joke, but what are some good stories about the comedy, or what do you choose from? What kind of life events? Because it seems like you're rather young.
Yes,
So
sir.
tell me about how it is breaking
So-
into the comedy.
Comedy for me has been it's opened a lot of doors that I wouldn't have necessarily expected with comedy. So I've gotten a lot of experience through networking and just communicating with people. It's helped
Okay.
me to break free from a little bit of social anxiety. I used to be, just having a conversation like this right here is something I would have never been able
But
to
in front
do
of a bunch
probably a
of
year
people
ago.
that don't laugh at your joke. Right. Yeah, that's the nerve-wracking part, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes, sir. I mean, it's that people aren't going to laugh, but it's also just expressing your own opinion and being vulnerable and being yourself in front of people. For me, that's always been a difficult thing thing to try to overcome, because
Okay.
I just get in my head that, even if it is funny material, maybe it's just, it's stupid, or nobody wants to listen to it, nobody wants to hear it, or maybe they don't relate to it.
Okay.
But then you get out there and you go perform, and you realize there's so many different people, different minds. There's going to be one other person that understands what you're saying and can kind of relate to the humor.
Okay. So has that been, because I know a comic has to deal with the hecklers.
Yes, sir.
Has your personal experience, what have you done? Has somebody kind of said, that's a dumb, I mean, what are your comebacks when that happens? What do you say?
Luckily for me, I haven't had too many
Okay.
hecklers quite yet. Yeah, hasn't been too much of an issue for me. The Atlanta scene has been pretty good for that so far.
Okay, good. Because eventually you're going to get somebody who's been drinking, and that's what happens at the clubs. And
Exactly.
they'll say something dumb, and then you have to come back and
Yep.
take control of the room, so to speak, or whatever. Okay,
Exactly.
fine.
We had
So since the class, because we took a class together.
Yes,
and
sir.
We, what have you done otherwise? Open mic nights frequently?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I've done a couple of different open mics around Atlanta. There's a place called Rocky Mountain Pizza in Midtown Atlanta, and they do an open mic on Wednesday nights, and I love that spot. That's one of my
Okay.
favorite spots. The Alley Stage in Marietta has a really good open mic they do over there.
Where in
It's near the Marietta Square.
Right, because I know there was a bar
Yes,
in
sir.
that I've seen
Uh-huh.
and went to. Where is that? The alleyway?
The Alley Stage is what
Alley
it's called?
Stage.
Yes, sir.
Okay, nice. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Frequently? Alrighty. So, writing a joke. Tell me about. Don't give away your secrets
Of
or anything
course.
like that. But how do you approach something? Do you take something like what happened at work that day, or something that struck you odd, or what goes on?
A lot of times when I come up with my premises or I find something to write about, I kind of just live life. I will spend 30 minutes a day in my book just writing and journaling and doing what
Okay.
I like to call it, the morning pages exercise,
Right.
just getting something down. But most of my good material has come from just living life and experiencing life. I mean, just noticing and observing the crazy things that happen around you every single day.
Oh, we both can't eat at the same time. Wow. I have to put that down. So, it seems like what you're doing now is using the full-time job to fund some of your artistic and extracurricular
Yes, sir.
and the writing. Is it all comedy writing? Do you write any poetry, or any other short story? Anything of literary value, you might say?
I write a little bit of short stories, and I try to do journaling and just kind of get my thoughts onto paper to try to understand really what's going on in my own head, because a lot of
Okay.
times I feel like I've got 5 or 10 different ideas all flying at me at one time, and I can't really sort through all the madness. So it's easier to have a pen and paper and sit down and just follow along on one train of thought and write that whole idea out, and really just sort out what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling, and which direction everything's going.
So do you keep them? I mean, do you have a stack of journals at home that under lock and key?
Yes, sir.
Because when I was growing up, there was a family counselor who's since gotten into a lot of trouble. So, which is validating for me because I didn't really like it. He didn't like the idea of keeping a journal because you don't want to catalog things. The only thing that I trust him on that was all it would take was a ambitious DA to come across. And with some of the stuff that you were feeling back 8 years ago, and use that as a means to do something. But
Yes, sir.
the discipline then of writing, do you set rules to yourself, or is it a stream of consciousness? Because I know teaching the skill of writing an essay where you have your points and you have to use that. Do you do that kind of process, or is it just today was a bad day, blah 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 blah, stepped on a bird or something?
Normally, when I start out, it will be just a stream of consciousness, especially
Okay.
if I can't think of what the topic is I'm going to write about. So I just put pen to paper and start writing and let it take me somewhere. And normally, within the first 5 minutes of doing that, you'll come across a premise or an idea and start following that trail and going down that rabbit hole. But the best way for me to start writing is to just get into it and do it. Open up the book, and if I can't think of anything, I write that. I can't think of anything, and continue from there and just
Give
start
yourself
writing.
permission. Okay, yeah. So then, some of your comedy. Do you have a story? Do you have a funny, safe for YouTube kind of story to tell? Because I've heard some, I've heard some of your other stories, and of the class, some of your stories, and a couple of the other guys. Only a few of them were the ones that I had to write down and tell at home.
You had to retell some of those
it's like,
stories?
can you believe that? Anything you want to kind of discuss now, so that when this gets premiered, that people are ready for? Oh yeah, I want to hear that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's think of some good comedy stories that I've got.
Because I think the workplace or dealing with people. If you're doing flooring, for instance, when
Yeah.
you're doing flooring, and are the people at home? Do they kind of, is it a scene out of a teenage, romantic comedy, or are they just kind of trying to step over you while they're making dinner? It's like, really? What is it?
Yeah. So the flooring that I did was commercial flooring in like Walmarts and things like that.
Oh, right. Okay,
And we would do
okay.
overnight. So our
Yeah.
biggest issue was you'd have to deal with the employees sitting there trying to stock the shelves while you're working on the floor,
right,
and you know
okay.
you're both in each other's way. So that was kind of the issue you would run into there. They're trying to stock the shelves, you're trying to build the floor. So that was kind of a big issue there. But with comedy, let's see. The biggest issue really in comedy is I work at a comedy club part time. I do security over there, and we have a decent amount of hecklers over there. So just last night
Oh,
we had.
really? Oh, okay, yeah.
Last night we had a guy who just drinking way too much,
Right.
way past his limits. Security had asked him to leave a couple of times. He refused to leave, so we had to end up escorting the guy out. Well, as you're walking out of the comedy club, there's a little, they call it the pit, so there's a ramp that goes down and there's another section of seating down there. He was
Okay.
sitting down in this pit area and had to walk up to leave the comedy club.
And he's already drunk.
He's already
Okay,
drunk.
yep.
He decides to turn around facing the stage and put both of his arms up and scream at the comedian. When he does this, he falls backwards.
Oh, no.
After he fell backwards, he goes to stand up, and because he fell, he was now mad. So he just started swinging on people. Right.
Okay.
He tripped himself up.
Right,
Then he gets mad, starts swinging. So me and two other guys grab, wrap him up, start pushing him towards the door. He falls for a second time, gets back up, swings on another guy. His glasses fall off, and he breaks this guy's glasses. So we finally get him up for a third time, get him into the lobby, and he falls again. This time he brings me to the ground with him.
Okay.
Now both of us are on the ground. So finally I stand up, help this guy up. We get him outside, and 10 minutes later, the cops are in the comedy club, and they're having to talk to everybody about what just happened. And
Did he call the cops or somebody else?
I believe somebody else called
Somebody
the
else
cops.
did?
Yeah,
Okay,
somebody
right.
else
They had
said
to
seen what
investigate.
happened. Yeah, had to investigate this, but he just got a little rowdy, got out of hand, started screaming at the comedian, and
Right, okay.
tried to take down some other people with him.
So did the comedian, without stealing his material, did the comedian have anything funny to say? Or
He did have some pretty funny things to say. It was a little bit at the club's expense, but it was pretty,
Oh, really?
it was,
Oh,
it was
okay,
pretty funny.
okay.
He started talking about how this guy's been screaming at me for 10 minutes. Seriously, why is nobody over here? There should be security. I mean, if you're wearing a helium uniform right now, you should probably be embarrassed. I don't understand. Why is
okay.
nobody doing anything? So he heckled us.
It was a
little
cry
bit.
for help, but
Yeah.
you have to. It's something that you can't really prepare for unless it's just certain jokes that you have at your fingertips and something like that. Oh my gosh! But 3 times, fell down 3
Fell
times.
down
You're
3
right.
times, and he got up swinging every single time.
Oh really? So the cops then, did they have to take him into custody then? Do you know any further about that? or-
I'm not too sure what the cops did with him. I don't believe that probably anything happened. Nobody pressed charges, so I don't think that anything probably happened with him. He probably just went home and hopefully slept it off and woke up regretting his decisions today, I would guess.
Let's hope so. Okay, so to make this unique, I feel like I want to, well, not unique, steal from somebody else and ask the same question of everybody. And since I don't have one because I dislike what's the one thing, it's never just one thing that gets you a job, gets you a soulmate,
Yes, sir.
or gets you the lottery number. Well, it is just the one thing that gets you the lottery.
That
The right number.
it may be the one thing for that.
What would you like to have anybody else who I talked with have to answer as well? Is there a question that would be, because I feel like that would be kind of a good thing to have a set point, but ask it at the end, like,
Yeah.
but not something cliche. Do you have any last words?
Yeah, but a good closing.
A summary. Do you have a philosophy of life that you would like to share, an outlook of how to approach things, whether it be comedy or adversity? Because it does seem like at your young age you had to overcome major disappointment, because
Yes, sir.
college is one of those huge decisions that you want to make, and then to have that snatched from you and you have to go somewhere else. What is it that helped you along the way for that? Let's do that, and then I'll come up with something else.
Yeah, okay. So, honestly, the biggest thing that has helped me over the past 2 years of just, finding strength and being able to find a direction and a purpose in life is honestly just being in my Bible every day, reading my
Okay.
Bible and praying. That has been the biggest thing that has helped me in my life. I found the most guidance and the most answers. And sometimes, it's not always the answer you're expecting, But
Okay.
if it's the right answer to me in my life, doors get opened up, and when that door gets opened up and you go through it, you'll know that it's the right decision, and it'll open up many more doors. So to me, it's just being
I could have
being in
asked
the
my
word.
mom, and she would have told me the same thing. What? Seriously? My goodness, here I am. Okay, it must be a sign. It must be a sign. Oh, did she put you up to this? I'm sure she did. Okay, so that must be interesting then to navigate that.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you found being grounded in the Word.
Yes, sir.
And the like, looking for things. Okay, that's good. Well, I am now coming around 25 minutes. I'd like to keep it about that long.
Yeah.
Some other time, if you feel like, hey, you need to talk to me again. I've got some good stories. You know my number. and
Definitely.
everything like
I would
this.
love
And
to have another conversation
we can,
sometime,
we can
David.
do redos. Basically, I'd like to talk to a whole bunch of strangers. And you are stranger than I thought. But thank you very much, Dawson.
Thank you, David.
Do you have any? Are you doing anything currently now? Even though this is time sensitive,
Uh-huh.
any open mic now, or you?
I've got a show coming up on March 1st in
Okay.
Woodstock at Rally Point Grill.
Okay.
That'll be a clean comedy show. So me and about 5 other comics are performing, and it should
Okay.
be a really good show.
Good. All right. Good. Well, thank you very much, and we'll be talking with you later.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.